Hello, this is S.K. Williams, and today I would like to talk to you about the year. There are 365 days in a standard year, and 366 days in a leap year, with leap years occurring once every 4 years, omitting years that end in 00 if you are using the Gregorian calendar. But most years are normal years. And if you are measuring them purely by a calendric cycle, it is a path that has 365 days. In reality, it takes more than that, but only marginally so, to go around the sun, which is what causes the calendar to fall out of alignment every once in a while, which is why a leap minute is on occasion added to the calendar, and why other adjustments are sometimes needed. No 2 years are perfectly aligned with the course of the Earth around the Sun every year. Nevertheless, each year has a predictable pattern, and in a way there are 2 years for every 1 year. There is the calendric year and the astronomical year. I shall call them in this video. These terms actually have proper definitions, and I'm not adhering to them strictly. For my purposes, an astronomical year is the actual amount of time the Earth takes to go around the Sun, whilst a calendric year is simply the mechanical year of the calendar. Every year is identical, with the exception of what year number it is in that regard. Some years begin on a Sunday, whilst others on a Monday or others on a Tuesday. But they all have 365 perfect days. The mechanical calendric year, however, has to be adjusted to match the external reality of the astronomic year. But in spite of that, in spite of having to be adjusted, these adjustments are reactions to keep it in line. Technically speaking, one need not actually adjust the mechanical year. One could simply allow it to fall out of line. The year on the calendar need not be in alignment with the year going round the sun in physical reality. Why am I bringing all of this up? It's because we are like the year. We often have 2 versions of ourselves: a scheduled, planned, processed version, and the version that lives in the physical world. The version that lives in the physical world gets hot or cold, gets hungry, gets tired, gets thirsty. But we have an idyllic version of ourselves in our minds, a version that never tires, never hungers, never thirsts. This idyllic version is in many ways independent of our physical existence. It is rather like the mechanical calendar. But like the mechanical calendar, we strive to keep our idyllic version of ourselves in line with the physical reality. But it is never the same as the physical reality. We make adjustments more to keep it close and in parallel than to make one and the other the same, or even to make them appear the same or go through the same processes. It is very rare to see someone whose idyllic version is their physical version, someone who tells time not by a calendar on their wall, but by the stars and the moon and the sun and the seasons. We instead construct an artifice, but it is an artifice that By the time we're aware that we have created it, we realize we have built our calendar on the back of others. Our modern Gregorian calendar, for example, is a revision of the older Julian calendar. And the Julian calendar is itself a revision of the older Roman calendars, which had many different versions, and before them you had Babylonians and Mesopotamians and others. And you have other cultures with other calendars as well, the Egyptians, the Hebrews, the Chinese. Even in South America they developed calendars, but none of these calendars really influenced ours, but all of the previous Roman ones did. And all of the calendars, no matter from what culture they are from, were influenced by the orbit of the Earth around the Sun. This is why there's such striking similarity to them, but also why there's differences. We are born at the start of the year, and we have expectations of what we are supposed to be like each month of the year, of what we're supposed to be when we are children, of when we are adolescents, when we are young adults, when we are midlife, when we are mature, seniors, when we are elderly. We understand that there is a cycle to our lives, and we have an expectation of what we are supposed to be, roughly at least, in each month, and in each season, and each quarter. It is an expectation framed by learning from others, but also, ultimately, from our inherent natures, that given by God, not man, that which we are. Our internal calendar is ultimately tied to the natural world, whilst still being distant from it. We are products of our expectations in many ways as well. And as we live our single year of life, as we go through from our birth at the new year to our death on the last day of the year, we know what to expect mechanically. But as with the calendar, sometimes our expectations need adjustment to align it with reality, and sometimes unexpected things happen. Perhaps it is warmer in a time of the year when we expected it to be cooler, or perhaps the other way round, it's a cool spring or a cool summer. Perhaps it rains more often in a time when it's supposed to be dry, or is dry when it's supposed to rain. Perhaps we live through a drought. But we all go through our year. We all have our time, and we all have our expectations of what we are supposed to be in that time. And we all have to adjust our calendars to match the physical reality. For that physical reality does not bend to our will. The one thing that is interesting about the calendar is that it does. We crafted it of our own minds, and as much as we are basing it on the real world, we break it down into things that do not exist in nature. Holidays, weeks, times. We create schedules of what time to wake up, what time to go to work or school, what time to eat, what time to pray, what time to go to church or mosque or synagogue, what time to do anything. And we create these little systems. Systems that are indeed created, but not fully. They are still tied to nature, but not part of nature. Nature is not dependent upon them, but they are dependent upon nature. Nature does not care if it is Wednesday or Thursday. nature may care if it is day or night, but nature does not care if it is 12 o'clock noon or 12 o'clock midnight, whether it is 1 in the afternoon or 1 in the morning, or 2 in the morning, or 2 in the afternoon, or 3 in the afternoon, or 3 in the morning. It doesn't care about 9 o'clock at night, or 9 o'clock in the morning, or 6 o'clock in the morning, or 6 o'clock at night. Those constructs of clock we use to tell time that are ever so important to us simply do not exist to nature. We create systems to describe the material world, and then we put those systems above the material world. And we go through life living in our systems, separated from that world, and yet still inherently incorporated into it. It is therefore perhaps wise to think that we should not be so subject to our calendars and our constructs. That is not to say we disregard them. Man, alone amongst the animals that we know of, crafts such things, and it has served him well to know what days to do things and what hours. But we should know that we are not our calendars. The calendars exist to serve us and our needs, and they exist to describe. They do not exist, however, to enslave. And we should also keep in mind that we always have to adjust our calendars, and it is best to adjust to reality. For you see, while it is not bad to have a calendar that tells you in general what our life shall be like, we should always be mindful of what it actually is like, and make our adjustments accordingly. I don't have much else to say, so I shall be signing off now. I hope you found some benefit of what I have said, and have benefited from it in some way. And with that, I take my leave. Thank you, God bless, and goodbye.